Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to welcome you guys to a special episode of The Alpha, the show where we talk about the latest, hottest topics in the world of pop culture and sports. I'm trying out a new type of format with you guys to where I'm gonna be live. Okay, this is gonna be not pre-edited, which normally most of the time I don't never, all my podcasts are fluid, but I just want to try something new. We're just going to have it live. We are going to talk about these topics live and fresh with you guys. So I've been having a problem with getting my podcast out in a timely and efficient manner when a lot of these things happen. So maybe trying this platform will kind of help me better get my topics out that are more current instead of waiting 2 weeks later when stuff has gotten old. But today, I want to thank you guys for joining me. I am your host, Jayden, of course. And we got a couple of topics that we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder bringing home the NBA Larry O'Brien Trophy to the city of Oklahoma for the first time in franchise history. We're going to be talking about Kevin Durant getting traded to the Houston Rockets. We are going to be talking about James Gunn having a little bit of issues writing up the script for his upcoming Batman movie. And lastly, we are going to talk about Punisher reportedly being cast in the upcoming Spider-Man film starring Tom Holland, Spider-Man Brand New Day. But before we get into all that, again, thank you guys for joining me. Do not hesitate to hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are listening via Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I want you to follow me on there as well. I have been doing a horrible job on there at getting my podcast up to date, but I am in the process of doing that now as I am talking with you guys right now. And again, let's get right into the show. The first thing that we are going to talk about is the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the Larry O'Brien NBA Finals Championship trophy for the very first time in the history of its franchise. It was a great game, okay? Overall for the series, I can say that it wasn't the best quality. I have said in previous podcasts, and I have said very recently, that me personally, I never cared to watch the Thunder. I thought they were boring. I don't particularly like the way SGA plays. Jalen Williams, he's cool. Never been a fan of Chet Holmgren. They got this Wallace kid that's been off the bench. Alex Caruso GOAT. They got a cool team, but they were relatively boring to watch. I was cheering for the Timberwolves out of the West. And of course, the Indiana Pacers, I was cheering for the Knicks, but the Pacers were a fun watch. You had Tyrese Halliburton and everybody else in the whole crew. But for the most part, this series was good. It was entertaining. We got our first Game 7 NBA Finals since 2016 with LeBron James and the Warriors. A lot of fans were ecstatic about it. We've had a lot of recent articles coming out about the ratings not being the best and compared to the past. Whatever. But me personally, I haven't been that tuned into it. Just because the two teams that ended up in it, I never really cared for the most. But I was able to watch this game. It's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You had the Indiana Pacers. Let's just get back to my main focal point here. It's all about the storylines. You have the Oklahoma City Thunder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander contending to win the first ever championship in the history of the franchise. Sam Presti, the GM, he's had a plethora of talent, which we are going to discuss in a few. The Kevin Durant's, Russell Westbrook's, Serge Ibaka, Kendrick Perkins, Kevin Durant, Thabo Sefolosha. The list goes on and on of the talent he's had. He's had Paul George. Specifically, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook won MVPs there. Never able to get the job done. And then you got that hanging in the balance going into game 7. And then on the other side, you have the Indiana Pacers. Haven't done much since Reggie Miller. You got exciting young players, Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton. With Halliburton having arguably one of the most crazy and from a player standpoint, a really sensational playoff run. And to cap that off with a championship, given that he has been labeled by his peers as overrated, that's what the storylines we had going into that game. And of course, I tuned in. And in the first couple minutes, Tyrese Halliburton was delivering. He was putting on a show for the fans. But that all went away after he had a gruesome injury. Saw the replay. He pretty much hyperextended his leg. And we all knew from the replay what happened. An Achilles tear. You saw the replay. You could see the Achilles pop. He's had a calf strain the last couple of games. I've gathered information earlier today. It seems like doctors did tell him that if you did have this injury in the middle of the season, you wouldn't be playing for a very long time. But doing what, of course, Tyrese Halliburton should have done and what any player would have did, he decided to play hurt anyways. We saw this with Kevin Durant back in 2018, 2019 against the Toronto Raptors. We saw the same thing with Damian Lillard this year. A calf strain is a very serious injury because we've seen in the past, whether it's Kevin Durant of the world, you had Damian Lillard this year, you had Jason Tatum, now Tyrese Halliburton. We've seen this trend go on, and it could have happened with Steph Curry if the Warriors would have hurried back Steph Curry. A calf strain not well attended to will lead to a inevitable torn Achilles. And that's what happened. And Tyrese Halliburton was 3 for 4 already coming out of the gate and shot 3 threes and made them. He looked like a man on a mission. He was ready to carry the load. Bring a championship to the city of Indianapolis. But he got deprived of that. And for the majority of the game, going into halftime, the Pacers played well. When it was from Nesmith, Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, and the whole crew, they looked like they were ready for the challenge. But towards the end of the third quarter, the Thunder defensively had them in a chokehold. To the point that there was no relief from it. TJ McConnell came into the third quarter and dropped like 13 straight points. There was a stat at one point going on in the third quarter that nobody scored outside of TJ McConnell. And when TJ McConnell could not score, that was the ball game. Because Nesmith, Siakam, Obi Toppin, none of these guys could make shots. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, Wallace, Lou Dort making some big shots down the stretch, and Jalen Williams. And then they inevitably broke away later on in the game. From the end of the third quarter all the way to the fourth, the Thunder broke away. And given what the Pacers have done in the past on this whole playoff, they cut the lead down to like 10 or 8. I know it was 10 for sure. I don't know if they ever even got it to single. I think it maybe got it to 9 with like 4 or 5 minutes left, and you were sitting there thinking like, oh, maybe they could come back. But the margin was so big. Tyrese Halliburton, the person who has been the primary reason why they have been able to come back like they have this playoff, he was not in the lineup. So inevitably, the Thunder are your 2024, 2025 NBA champions. And I have a question that I thought of and that I'm going to pose. Is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, can he now be considered the best Thunder of all time? The best player in the history of the franchise? And my answer to this, shockingly, is yes. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the ultimate goal? I'm going to ask it for everybody. What is our ultimate goal in the NBA? In any type of sport? It's to win a championship. As much as me personally, I grew up a Kevin Durant fan. I grew up a Thunder fan because of Kevin Durant. I loved what Russell Westbrook and the guys. James Harden, Serge Ibaka. I've said their names earlier. They were just so sensational. And that was such a good roster and a good team that it was an absolute sin in the basketball world that they never won a championship. And Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook won MVPs while they were there. And we're going to talk about what I foreshadowed earlier on with the, given what Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant accomplished in a Thunder uniform at Oklahoma City, both winning MVPs. I think Russell Westbrook was set the record for triple-double to back-to-back years or something like that. I can't even remember. Going to the NBA Finals and playing a very, at that time, dominant Miami Heat team with LeBron James, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh in their prime. But yet they never was able to accomplish the ultimate goal. And that was to win a championship. A lot of people may consider that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the guys didn't really face the amount of competition that Kevin Durant and them did at that time. I am one of those people. I can say this for sure. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder did not face a Miami-type team with that level of talent. The Pacers are not even in the same stratosphere as that Miami Heat team was. Even when the last season that Kevin Durant had on a Thunder's jersey when they lost to the reigning defending champion Golden State Warriors, that Golden State Warriors team is way out of the Indiana Pacers league. They're not even close. But in a couple of years, when we look into the NBA history books, and a kid that's 8 years old is going to be a Thunder fan, he's going to sit here and say, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander brought us the chip. I am going to remember Shai Gilgeous got him the chip. Because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was the runner-up last year for the MVP. Averaged 30 the past 2 seasons. And this year, in the same season, he led his team to a historic record. They were like 68 and something or 84 and something altogether this season. I don't even think they had 20 losses this season. I may be wrong. Let me know down in the comments if I am. But just this year alone, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was the scoring champion in the league. He was the regular season MVP, the Western Conference Finals MVP, an NBA champion, and he won the NBA Finals MVP. Kevin Durant didn't do that in a Thunder uniform. Russell Westbrook didn't do that in a Thunder uniform. So with that being said, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, without question, should be considered the best player to ever put on a Thunder uniform. Is he as exciting as Kevin Durant was watchable-wise? Absolutely not. We all consider Kevin Durant probably the most gifted scorer in the history of the NBA. Then Russell Westbrook, he is a living highlight reel in his prime with the Thunder. Every night, it was a crazy dunk, him putting up crazy numbers, him playing as fast as what many people consider Dwayne Wade and calling him the Flash. That is how fast Russell Westbrook was. A lot of people consider him to this day the fastest person with the ball in their hands, arguably in NBA history. He was an exciting watch. Is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander even close to being as good of a watch as them two guys were? Absolutely not. To me personally, I don't like Shai. I don't like Shai's game. His game is majority. I don't even know if I'm saying this right. The majority of his game is get in the mid range, shoot a fadeaway, or drive to the lane and get a foul call. That is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's game. It's no sizing you up. Nothing. He doesn't do anything spectacular. I don't even think I've ever even seen Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dunk the basketball. But still, right now, majority of basketball fans, basketball media, and NBA executives would probably say this as well. Without question, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should be considered the best person to ever suit up in a Thunder uniform. At the age of 27, he's fixing to sign, I'd imagine, a very hefty deal. He's probably fixing to be considered the highest paid player in the NBA. With the amount of draft capital that the Thunder have, one can surmise this may not be their last one. There has been a lot of parity going on in the NBA. The last 7 years, we've had 7 different teams win a title. 2020, the Lakers won. 2021, the Bucks won. 22 was the Warriors. 23 was the Nuggets. Last year was the Celtics. And this year was the Thunder. In 2019, we cannot forget the Raptors. But with the amount of draft capital, given I know the Thunder will probably try and re-sign Lu Dort. I think he's a free agent. Jalen Williams is fixing to get an extension. They're not letting him walk out of that door. Chet Holmgren, all these guys are young. They were the second youngest team in NBA history to win an NBA Finals. And Sam Presti, a lot of people he has been under a lot of scrutiny in the past for never getting the job done. But he was finally able to do it. And with the impressive job of him being able to flip Paul George into Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams and win a championship. And in that same breath, Paul George has done nothing since then, since he's been left the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, he's had some good years with the Clippers. He couldn't even stay on the court this year with the Sixers. And Father Time is catching up with him as fast as possible. But still, what Sam Presti has done with this team and setting up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams for a brighter future, we gotta give him a lot of credit. So one can surmise this may not be their last one, and this may not be Shai's last one. The sky is the limit for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder. It is our time to congratulate them, even though it may not have been in an exciting manner. You could say they got a stimulus package because of that Tyrese Halliburton injury, the way Tyrese Halliburton played early on in this game. And they didn't really have to play with a lot of pressure, although in the third quarter, they were down 1 going into halftime, and going into that third quarter, they broke away. but we have to give them their flowers. They had an historic season, and they capped it off with a championship. The ultimate goal is to win a championship. This is not in the same breath as the Lakers with the COVID championship. It's not the same thing. We got to sit back. We got to give the Thunder credit. They had an historic season. They're super young, and the sky is the limit. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, right now as we speak, is a Hall of Famer. He is the best person to ever put on a Thunder uniform. And at the age of 27, with all the technology at his disposal, he has the ability to have a very good career. And he can do things for the city of Oklahoma that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook were not able to do. Congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are your 2024-2025 NBA champions. And I am sorry to all of the Indiana Pacers fans. Y'all fought hard. Y'all shouldn't have even been here. But y'all got here, and one can say it got slipped away from you guys because of a devastating injury. We're just still waiting to see what Tyrese Halliburton is being diagnosed with, but everybody can arguably say, and we can all tell, that it is going to be an Achilles injury. There's no doubt about that. And our prayers and thoughts are with him as he gets to a speedy recovery, and hopefully, he will be able to be back next season. What do you guys think about the Oklahoma City Thunder being your NBA champions? Do you think they got a stimulus package? Do you think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the best person to ever put on a Thunder uniform? I want to know all of your comments down below. All right, guys. Moving on to topic number 2. Before the NBA Finals, the day of the NBA Finals, this man was at Fanatics Fest in New York when he got the news mid-interview. Kevin Durant was traded to the Houston Rockets. And we're going to read an article here. The Phoenix Suns will reportedly trade Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets. The Rockets got Kevin Durant. The Suns got the young buck, Jalen Green. Got Mouty Mouth, Mr. Annoying, Dylan Brooks, a 2025 first-round pick, and 5 future second-round picks. His best fit for me personally, a lot of people thought his best fit was the Timberwolves or the Rockets. I thought, me personally, and I said it in my last podcast, I thought that his best fit was the Spurs. Wemby, De'Aaron Fox would have been the best tandem. But instead, we got Amen Thompson, Fred VanVleet, Şengün, Eason, Jabari Smith. I mean, it's okay. But it wasn't the best fit, in my opinion. I would have rather seen him on the Spurs. But specifically talking about the compensation, okay? We talked about last week about Desmond Bane getting traded for 6 first-round picks and 2 players. Kevin Durant just got traded for 2 players, 1 first-round pick, and then 5 second-round picks. So instead, they pretty much flipped. They were able to flip that. The Suns were able to, or the Rockets rather, they were able to flip that deal, give up pretty much less. So instead of 6 first-round picks, you gave up just 1, and then you gave them 5 second-round picks, 2 players, and you got Kevin bleeping Durant instead of Desmond Bane. Granted, Desmond Bane's a lot younger. KD's a lot older. I've said in my last video, KD's got like 4 or 5 good years left. But for right now, for either franchise, who would you rather have on your team right now? Kevin Durant or Desmond Bane? Without question, anybody in their right mind would choose Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's coming off of one of his best shooting seasons he's had in his career. And with either one of those teams, Kevin Durant with Paulo Banchero, elite. Kevin Durant with Şengün, Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson. Sweet. So the compensation was very good. Houston Rockets are going to be in the mix in the future. There's no doubt about it. And just to really much talk about the Suns' point of view of this, you got rid of somebody like Kevin Durant and you got younger. You got Jalen Green. Okay. Me personally, I like Jalen Green. Did he play god awful in this playoff series, this past playoff against the Golden State Warriors? Absolutely. He was awful. He had one good game. In the rest of that series, he was an absolute no-show. He was so bad that Ime Udoka benched him in clutch time. When Jalen Green was majority prior, he was the reason why they were the number 2 seed in the West. But come playoff time, he was an absolute no-show. It's like he was seeing stars out there on that basketball court. The moment was too big for him. I just don't know. Everybody showed up with Jalen Green. And I said in the past, I was sitting there like, if you were the Rockets, I know Kevin Durant is available, but me personally, I wouldn't do it because Jalen Green has a pretty good upside. He's still young. I don't even think this year was even his third year. It was his second or his third year. He's super young, super athletic, super talented. Behind the scenes, a lot of people have said that he needs to mature. He doesn't work on his craft enough. I don't know if that needs to be true. Obviously, he's got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with the woman he is having in relations with that is almost like I wouldn't even say almost. I think she's like 20 some years older than he is, but we're not going to get down that road. So maybe somebody's got a lot of distractions going off the court stuff going on. But still, I was under the impression I was still on that bus to where I wouldn't necessarily get rid of Jalen Green because he's just too young to pass up on. But the Rockets decided to make the move, and I can't really kill him for it. But for the Suns' point of view, man, new owner. I think I think he is about to be in his third year being the owner coming up next season. He's a super aggressive guy. And I want to talk about this from Devin Booker's point of view. Because this is why this conversation is being brought up when it comes to the Suns. If you're Devin Booker, why would you stay? Since they've been to the finals, what has the Suns done positively to even get close to winning a championship? In a very stacked West, nothing. The Suns is an afterthought right now. They were were they 11th? They missed the playoffs, so they were the 11th seed this year. You just traded KD. In what way did you get better? What you gonna do? Use them? We all know how draft picks work in the NBA. They're not. It is very rare for a draft pick to hit. So what are you going to do? You got rid of DeAndre Ayton, got rid of Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges. You got Bradley Beal, can't get rid of him. You've been wanting to trade him reportedly, but you can't get rid of him because he's got a no trade clause and nobody wants him. And if you're Devin Booker, why stay? Dillon Brooks, trash. Jalen Green, cool. But in the next 5 years, at what point does Devin Booker even see himself winning a championship? I don't even know Devin Booker's age right now from the top of my head. I imagine he's 27, 26. Devin Booker's been around for a good while. I want to say he was drafted in when? 13, 14? Devin Booker's, he's in his prime. He's in a win now part of his career. And Devin Booker didn't have a great year this year. But that's just something to think about when it comes about with the Suns. The Suns got a lot of work to do. Okay. But let's just get back on track. I just want to talk about that from the Suns aspect. Devin Booker, you're too talented. You need to get out of there. But back to Houston. Are Houston title contenders with this move? I did see earlier today that I think they are the number 2 favorites right now to win the championship. Yeah. Led by because I think they just extended Ime Udoka last week or 2 weeks ago. I think I saw a report that came out with that as well. Great, phenomenal coach. He is the reason why the Boston Celtics got to the finals. And I still think, although the Boston Celtics won the finals last year with the coach they have now, I still think with Ime Udoka, they would have won still. Ime Udoka is a phenomenal coach. The way he coached the Rockets against the Warriors, they are a tough, scrappy team, and they were young. Now, under veteran leadership, they get a all-NBA caliber player and swap. You guys just imagine right now. Swap out Jalen Green, put Kevin Durant on that roster in the playoffs, they're beating the Warriors. Because the Rockets were missing just one piece, because all they had was Şengün, Fred VanVleet here and there, which Fred VanVleet towards the end of that series was phenomenal. But they couldn't get that help. They needed that wing guy, and they got him. So what get some eyes right now? That the Houston Rockets are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the upcoming season. I like the move. I love the move for Houston. It's good to see the organization back in the mix. They have had a rough go since Harden's left. Had a lot of moving parts going on. But they got younger. They've hit on a couple of draft picks, hit on a couple of guys when it comes to Şengün and everyone else. Got a couple of guys off the bench that are really good as well. And they were able to pick up a future Hall of Famer, still in his prime, still very, very elite, still a top 10 player, probably in the majority of people's eyes. And you didn't give up anything. You didn't give up Amen Thompson. You didn't give up Jabari Smith, Eason. All you gave up was Jalen Green. And Jalen Green did nothing for you. So great move by Houston. But for Kevin Durant, no excuses, brother. Look, I know your motto. You're not about the championships. You just like to hoop. I get it. Kevin Durant said it for a while. That's part of the reason why, me personally, when it comes to the Thunder conversation we had with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a while ago, that's the reason why, in my book, I don't put KD up there. And I'll give Shai that spot, because with KD, KD has never been, he's never had that want for a championship. Obviously, he did, and he done it when he was with the Thunder, when he was with the Warriors. Well, when he was with the Thunder and left for the Warriors. But I believe he got that fixed, and he's got complacent. Because he's at this point in his career, I just want to hoop. He did it when he went to the Nets, because everybody was like, why would you even go to the Nets for when you could have stayed with the Warriors and won more championships? Why would you even go to the Suns? Because we knew Bradley Beal and Devin Booker with no primary distributor of the basketball, at the facilitator at the point guard position. We were all sitting there like, why would you even do that? And he done it. And then now, even though he even stated at the Fanatics Fest he had a say in this move, but still, you can win on this team. And I said it in my last podcast, Kevin Durant, you have to do something and win by yourself. Because right now you're overshadowed by the Warriors crap. You're overshadowed by Steph Curry. You're overshadowed by Steph Curry. The Kyrie Irving situation. When people when people think of Kevin Durant, you do not think of the championships. You think of the drama and everything else that goes along with him. And that has went along with his career. The first thing you don't think about Kevin Durant is championships. When you think of Kevin Durant, the first thing that comes to my mind is one of the greatest shooters of all time. Arguably the greatest scorer of all time. Top 10 NBA player of all time in a lot of people's eyes. But I don't think of a champion. Because when I think of that championship run, I think of Steph Curry. I think of Klay Thompson. I think of Draymond Green, Sean Livingston. The list goes on and on. I don't think of Kevin Durant, Steve Kerr, and there's everybody else that could, Josh Bell, everybody else that contributed. I don't think of Kevin Durant. I don't think of Kevin Durant of his Warrior days. When I think of Kevin Durant, I'm thinking of the Thunder. That may be from personal bias, but that's what I think of. Thunder KD. KD's got to do something on his own, and I think he can do it with the Houston Rockets. What do you guys think about this move? Do you think this move puts KD in a position to ultimately win another championship? Do you think the Houston Rockets should be a favorite? And do you like the move for the Suns? Do you like the future of Devin Booker? I want to know all of your comments down below. All right. Let's move on into some pop culture stuff. Okay. Enough of sports. Let's get to some pop culture news. Early last week, there was a big thing that went on with Twitter of just James Gunn. I guess he was getting interviewed for a press tour for Superman, and he's been dropping bombshell news about the Wonder Woman stuff and Batman, this, that. So he got more in, we talked about Wonder Woman because he did give us some groundwork on Wonder Woman. And I guess now in the interview, he provided more detail about the Batman, his upcoming Batman movie. And right now it's titled Batman, the Brave and the Bold. But there was something interesting with the Rolling Stone. It was an interview. It's interesting your answer is much more present tense than as I expected. I know I'm trying to... Okay, let's just start here because he was asking him questions about the Batman and Robert Pattinson. Is that still happening? Is he part of the DCU now? Is he going to be the DCU's Batman? They were just asking him stuff like that. Okay. And it says here, you once said that the fact that Robert Pattinson's Batman is not in this universe was Matt Reeves' choice. Does that mean if it were up to you, you would have just pulled that into your universe? And then James Gunn stated, it would be a consideration. Would have to think about it. It's not like we've never discussed it. Next question from the reporter. It's interesting your answer is much more present tense than I expected, as if it's an ongoing possibility. James Gunn then stated, no, I don't. Batman's my biggest issue in all of DC right now, personally. And I'm not writing Batman, but I am working with the writer of Batman and trying to get it right. Because he's incredibly important to DC, as is Wonder Woman. So outside of the stuff that I'm doing on the projects that are actively going, our two priorities are finishing Wonder Woman and our Batman scripts. The Batman script, is that called Batman the Brave and the Bold? The reporter asked. And then James Gunn said, right now. The reporter said, in the broadest sense, what needs to be figured out to make those two properties work? Batman in this universe. And this is the last quote that we're going to talk about here from James Gunn. Batman has a reason for existing. So Batman just can't be, we're making a Batman movie because Batman's the biggest character in all of Warner Bros., which he is. But because there's a need for him in the DCU and a need that's not exactly the same as Matt's Batman. But yet he's not a campy Batman. I'm not interested in a campy Batman. I'm not interested in a funny, campy Batman, really. So we're dealing with that. I think I have a way in, by the way. I think I really know what it's. I just am dealing with the writer to make sure we can make it a reality. So we got some great insight there about what is going on right now when it comes to the Batman. And I have a couple of thoughts. So right now, I'm after reading this article with you guys. So basically, he has an idea of what he's going with, from what it says right there at the end. But he's just going to get with the writer. And the writer is supposed to be, the writer and director is supposed to be Anthony Muschietti. He recently directed the Flash movie, which I despise, and I don't even know why he even got the job to direct a Batman movie. I don't know why. But I digress. So James Gunn has an idea of what he's going to do. Because when I first saw the tweet, it was just sitting there like, oh, James Gunn, when I saw it on Twitter, it made it James Gunn with the whole thing like, oh, Batman's kind of tough. We've had so many interactions with Batman. So I thought it made it sound like James Gunn really don't know what he wants to do yet. But from the end of that, James Gunn's got an idea of what he wants to do. He's just getting up with the writer to make sure that's what they ultimately want to do. I just have a couple of thoughts when it comes to Batman for me. The number one thing is you can't go wrong with any take of Batman. And the reason why and we're going to talk about this. I say that you can't go wrong with any take of Batman, but from a personal standpoint when it comes to Robert Pattinson's Batman. And he said it in this quote. Robert Pattinson's Batman could not work in the DCU because of his tone and the way the character is written. Okay? A lot of people love Robert Pattinson's Batman. I have a special place in my heart for him because I enjoyed the Batman aspect of him. I did. Outside of some things here and there with the voice acting. Well, not the voice acting. This wasn't voice acting. But stuff when it come with his dialogue and the way he acted, it just wasn't me. It just wasn't for me. Because we all know the GOAT. Okay. The man, the myth, the legend. He voice acted Batman in Justice League the Animated Series and the Batman games. Kevin Conroy. That's the Batman I like. I don't like a Batman who just dark and broody. He has a little bit of personality. Okay. He's not this broody guy all the time. He's got a bit of charisma to him. And specifically that was Batman the Animated Series, and that was Justice League Unlimited. So that's my Batman. And that's the type of Batman you need for the DCU, because you don't need a Batman like Robert Pattinson. You don't want this Batman that literally is scared to talk to people. He has no type of personality whatsoever, and he talks on the bottom of his lungs like this. That was the way the way his character is. Just way his character is. Period. It just does not work for a DCU, and then when you're trying to create a collective universe, because right now, I could not see Robert Pattinson's Batman having any type of chemistry with the Justice League. And I don't know why that part of it don't never get into people's head. Because right now, could you imagine Robert Pattinson's Batman having any type of dialogue right now with David Cornswell's Superman? It would be the most awkward thing of all time. Could you imagine it ultimately with a Wonder Woman? Or any type of DC character from the past? You could take Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. You could take Henry Cavill's Superman. I just don't see it. I don't see how that Batman is able to have camaraderie with his partners in the Justice League. And that's what ultimately James Gunn is going to lead up to in the DCU. But in a standalone universe, it works. A lot of people love the Batman. Critics love the Batman. I like the Batman. Audiences like the Batman. I love a lot of the scenes, the Batmobile scene. There's a lot of Matt Reeves done some good stuff. I love the way he did a better job with Gotham City. And I give him credit to this. He done better with Gotham City than Christopher Nolan did. Although The Dark Knight and that series is peak superhero filmmaking. But still, I think Matt Reeves got the Gotham City part of it great. And just setting the tone of Gotham City, he done it the best. But still, Robert Pattinson, I liked the Batman. I hated the Bruce Wayne. He had the worst Bruce Wayne I've ever seen in my life that you could ever write up. When you think of Bruce Wayne, you think of what the Iron Man quote I'm going to use from the first Avengers movie. Billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. That's Bruce Wayne. And Christian Bale, he did that the best. Watch Batman Begins with the whole thing where he bought the hotel and the girls jumped in the pool, and then he's like, I'm buying this hotel, fancy cars and all that. That was Bruce Wayne for me. Scream Bruce Wayne. What occurred in the Batman did not work for me when it comes to Bruce Wayne. His Bruce Wayne was just this guy who just is just out of touch with reality. He is just down all the time, has no type of personality whatsoever. He could care less to be around society. That's just the type of Batman that we're getting too deep into all that crap. Let's just get back to the topic at hand. What should be the ultimate focal point for a Batman in the DCU? He has to differ from Superman. You got Superman. I like this part, and this is the reason why I love the Batman and Superman dynamic. Go watch any type of animated movies. You got Superman is just this big blue Boy Scout, got personality, which I think that's what James Gunn is going to go with in his film. And do you have Batman? He's just this broody guy. He has no personality, and at the same time, Superman respects him for that. And he understands that, and that's what draws him closer to Bruce Wayne. And they still care about each other while they're working together and while they're not in their costumes. Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent, they work together well, and then when they are Batman and Superman, they work together well. So they have to differ in order for them to come together. The next aspect is the Trinity. They have to be able to coincide with each other. They have to be able to have some type of chemistry. Okay. You got Superman. Blue. I can already tell it's going to be big blue Boy Scout. Do you have Wonder Woman? We don't know what he's going to do with that, so we're just going to have to wait and see. But ultimately, my pick for James Gunn DCU Batman should be take away the Bruce Wayne aspect of Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale's Batman film, then take some of Matt Reeves' Batman stuff of Batman and some of Christopher Nolan stuff to agree, because there's some things about the Christopher Nolan Batman I prefer than the Robert Pattinson's Batman, and mesh it into one. Then you have a DCU Batman, and it works. You have the best Batman for the DCU. I know I ranted a lot about that and I didn't get straight to the point, but I had to ramble around a little bit to get my thoughts together. And when I started talking about it, I particularly found out the type of Batman you need. And I'm going to repeat it again. You want a Batman who has a Bruce Wayne like Christopher Nolan, and then has a Batman, some aspects of Christopher Nolan and some aspects of Matt Reeves. Morph it together, whip it up in the script. You have your Batman. I have no doubt in my mind that James Gunn right now, for certain, is probably cooking up a Batman that has definitely got charisma as far as Bruce Wayne. My only problem is I'm very interested to see his take on the Batman aspect of it, because we know how James Gunn loves he loves his humor. He loves it. He adores it. So we're just going to have to wait and see. What are your thoughts on the DCU's Batman and the script? Do you think James Gunn should do like I said? Should he just take Christopher Nolan's Batman, the Bruce Wayne aspect of it, and some Batman aspects of it, and then take Matt Reeves' Batman and then morph it together? Or do you think he should put Robert Pattinson in the DCU? I don't. I know a lot of people in the media space does, but I don't. And do you think Anthony Muschietti is the right guy for the job? I don't think he should direct it. I think he should go with somebody else. I just want to know all of your comments down below. All right, guys. We are going to be heading into our last topic. We got some interesting news that I was shocked to see when I was in the Twitter world and I was glancing on Twitter. The Punisher is set to star in Spider-Man 4 Brand New Day. And we got an article here that we are going to read together. Jon Bernthal joins Tom Holland in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now he's taking his guns to the big screen. Bernthal has joined Tom Holland in Spider-Man Brand New Day, the latest Spider-Man movie from Sony and Marvel. Destin Daniel Cretton is directing the feature film, which will shoot in England this summer and has a July 31st, 2026 release date. Much of the movie remains shrouded in mystery. Movie rumor websites have listed upwards of a dozen possible villains, from crime bosses to alien symbiotes who could appear in the future, as well as a couple of different versions of Hulk, which I have talked about in the past. The only big thing clear at this stage is that Zendaya and Jacob Batalon are reprising their roles as MJ and Ned, although now substantial those roles will remain unclear. Stranger Things star Sadie Sink is in the film as well. The story takes place after events of Spider-Man No Way Home, in which the entire world knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man and then having the knowledge erased. Having Bernthal as the Punisher seems to point to a slightly more grounded angle on the story, as the character hails from the gritty street corner of Marvel's universe, in the comics at least. So, I already know where this article is going to go. It's just pretty much giving a brief description of what's going on. My thoughts on this was very interesting to me. I didn't know this rumor was going around until I actually saw the comments on Twitter and stuff. So this is a rumor that's been going on for a while. My thing is, how is this dynamic going to work? I didn't watch, and I know y'all's going to kill me for this. I have not watched the Punisher Netflix series, TV series. The only thing I've saw Jon Bernthal play Punisher in, which is a crime. Do not kill me for it. I've only saw him in the Netflix series in season 2 of the Daredevil. I have not even to this day watched Daredevil Born Again. I haven't. I know. Don't kill me. I am part of the reason why that series did not get good ratings, and I'm one of the reasons why. I get it. I know. Given I'm a Daredevil guy, I love Jon Bernthal. I love the Punisher. I get it. Charlie Cox and the crew, the Kingpin. Love them. Love them. Just TV series for me just does not work. I don't like watching TV. If I'm watching TV, I watch stuff from my younger days, like cartoons and stuff. If I'm watching a TV series, it more than likely has to be a cartoon. I just don't like live action television for just some odd reason. That's just my personal preference. But I know how dark and rated R that the Punisher, Jon Bernthal's Punisher is. And we know how heaven sent, to a certain degree outside of what transpired in No Way Home, that Tom Holland's Spider-Man universe is a Spider-Man character. How in God's name are them two going to mesh? How are you going to have the Punisher in a PG-13 project? Because they're not making Spider-Man rated R. The last thing you need is your big marquee character in Spider-Man having a rated R film in the movies. And some parents, I mean, I had a mom like that as well. Some parents don't want their kids going to the movies seeing a rated R film. So that's something to think about. But I can say I love the team up. Anything that Jon Bernthal is in, sign me up. I'm a fan. I love him. Okay, I love him. I love him in everything he's in. I loved him as Punisher. So I'm very interested to see how their team up is going to, even if it is a team up, it probably won't be a team up. It may be a situation where he might be a villain. If he is a villain, sign me up. I don't know the events of, and I can't speak off the events of Daredevil Born Again. I don't know where the Punisher is going to be back. I don't know where the Punisher is at the end of the season. I would probably have to watch it just to find out. But still, I want to know if they're going to have a dynamic. And I'm not a comic book historian, so I don't even know in the comics if they ever teamed up before. I know in the 90s TV show, I want to say they did team up maybe, but we know Punisher is an anti-hero, and he kind of has rules that obviously Spider-Man does not abide by. Okay, the Punisher believes in killing people. Spider-Man does not kill people. Okay, the Punisher's idea of justice is not the same as Spider-Man's. So them two working together is very questionable. Who knows if it would happen? but we're just going to have to wait and see. I don't know. This leads to something that a lot of Spider-Man fans have been clamoring for Tom Holland's movies and his trilogy, leading to his fourth movie. We're getting a street level Spider-Man story. A lot of people like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. He's not my favorite. Arguably, I probably have him as my third favorite. My favorite Spider-Man, not movies, but just personality-wise, has been Andrew Garfield. I just think he nailed it. The kid, Peter Parker, just the quirks and stuff, that I think he's nailed that out of the park. Tom Holland's Spider-Man, all of his movies have been away from New York. In the first film, he's traveling on a school field trip. In the second movie, the first one. What was he doing in the first one? He was in New York in the first one, I think. Shoot, I don't even know. I've Spider-Man Homecoming. I've never watched it. I've watched the film like a handful of times. It's not one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. Yeah, he went on a field. I think he did go on a field trip because he was in Washington, D.C. at one point. And his school, I think his school was in the Spelling. So yeah, he wasn't in New York in any way, form, or fashion. The second film, outside of the U.S. And in Spider-Man No Way Home, to a certain degree, he's in New York, but majority of that film, you're dealing with multiversal stuff to where nothing is really, you don't even know you're in New York. Okay, so that's where we've been at with Spider-Man and Tom Holland's films. And a lot of fans have been clamoring for a Spider-Man tale that is street level. He's in New York and he does your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man type stuff. That is what people has been wanting. And I think with this news of the Punisher being in this movie leads to that assumption that I think this is going to be a Spider-Man grounded street level story. The Punisher in this movie, and on top of the fact of the ending of Spider-Man No Way Home, where you're at the very end of the movie and he does the web swing at the end in that new suit after he reversed the spell, and now nobody knows who he is anymore. Nobody knows who Peter Parker is. Not even MJ and Ned. So now he's just back to your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That is another reason why I think they might be going street level, and they may be telling a classic Spider-Man tale. Fans have been clamoring for it. The director who done this movie, he also done Shang-Chi as well. He stated how much of a Spider-Man fan he is, so he may be on the verge of telling us a classic Spider-Man tale. We're just going to have to wait and see. I just hope. Well, I just wouldn't say I just hope. I'm very interested to see what type of story they're going for. I'm interested to see what type of dynamic these two are going to have. If John Bernthal is going to be the villain, does it open up the possibility of Daredevil being in this series? More street level characters, people like Moon Knight. I don't know. I'm interested to see, and it's going to be something that we're going to have to keep up with in the future of other characters in New York of street level. The Doctor Stranges of the world, Moon Knight, Punisher, Daredevil, White Tiger, just all those type of characters. Luke Cage. These are characters that are set in New York and in the Spider-Man universe. And it's going to be interesting to see what type of villains they cook up for the film as well. Because I know they're throwing around a couple of names. I don't know who they are. I know they have been talked about wanting to do Scorpion. And I'm sitting there like, Scorpion for the Spider-Man movie? I think you should do somebody like Kraven the Hunter, maybe Rhino as well. I know they were just in the Kraven movie, but still, this is an MCU movie. Your villains for Spider-Man in the MCU has been Mysterio, the Vulture, and they've done Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus and everybody else. So you leave room for Rhino and Kraven, maybe. And then you can put Scorpion in there as well. Spider-Man has got a huge villain gallery, just like Batman does. And his villain gallery is more people know them more. Modern audiences know more of Spider-Man villains than any other Marvel heroes villains. So it would, with the unavailability of a lot of villains you could put in this movie, you could think that maybe John Bernthal's Punisher might just be a villain. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think John Bernthal's Punisher is going to be a villain? Do you think he's going to be a hero? How do you think their dynamic will be in the film? Do you think this is going to be a street level story? I want to know all of your comments down below. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of the Alpha Podcast. I thank you guys for listening. This is the first time I've shot this solely live. Okay, I didn't mess up anything. I thought it flowed well. Obviously, you know, I'm kind of more comfortable with the live format. I shoot this live. I don't never cut it and I don't edit it. And when I'm having to do the post-editing stuff, and it takes me a while to get the podcast out because I've got a lot of stuff going on. I'm very busy. So when I make these podcasts, I make them on time, but I don't never post them on time. So I've been doing a lot of pre-production stuff to have this stuff, thumbnail, description, and everything else ready to go. So now I can just shoot the show live. Okay. So now I have completed that task. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed the Alpha Podcast in general, I want you to leave the like down below on the video. And if you are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, do not hesitate to hit the follow button on there as well. And leave a good rating. I thank you guys so much for listening to episode 23 of the Alpha Podcast. And I will see you guys on the next one. I love you guys so much. There ain't going to be no outro music on this one because I don't have the post. I'm not able to post edit this part. But I thank you guys so much. And I will see you guys on the next episode of the Alpha Podcast. Peace, love, and positivity always, y'all. See ya.